And joining us now is Dr. Holly Ordway, and she's the chair of the Department of Apologetics at Houston Baptist University. And today, Holly joins us via Skype from Texas to talk about her conversion to the faith and her book, Not God's Type, which is a great book. Holly, how you doing?
I'm doing really well. Thanks so much for having me on.
We are thrilled. And Father Reed and I were talking about it before the program. The book is so readable. It's a joy to read it and to read your journey. Now, your book shares your experiences as an atheist who was convinced that the faith was superstitious, nonsense. How did that change?
Well, very slowly, and I really have to give a lot of credit to Tolkien's Lord of the Rings to get me where I am now, because I was raised non-religious, so I didn't start out hostile, but I went to college at secular schools that were very good schools, but were very secular, and I just absorbed that idea of atheism. I started, just falling into that trap and becoming hostile, but without actually knowing what Christianity was really about, which is so ironic for someone who, well-educated. I still bought into all of the shallow, glib things I heard. But the thing that always kept its hook in me was great Christian literature, because I had grown up reading C.S. Lewis's Chronicles of Narnia, Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. In college, I read fantastic poetry by poets like Gerard Manley Hopkins, and it just didn't let me go. And so eventually, when I finally was out of college and was teaching, teaching English, I started rereading this great poetry and realizing, someone like Gerard Manley Hopkins or John Donne or George Herbert, these guys are not stupid. Tolkien has this vision that I'd even written my PhD dissertation on fantasy, centering on Tolkien. There was something that gripped me. And finally I said, okay, these guys are Christians. They really believe this weird stuff. At least let me give them the credit of finding out what it is that they believe that I reject. And I started asking questions, and it was all downhill from there.
Holly, Jay filled me in. He said, you're going to love talking to Holly, and Bonnie filled me in. So I know a little bit about you, and I know that many times converts come to the faith after some kind of life-changing event. But you're convinced of the truth of Christianity on rational grounds. Can you share a bit of that?
Well, really, it was in stages, because the first thing that I became convinced of is that God exists. I mean, that's really starting at ground zero. And I realized that the universe needed a cause. And as an atheist, I just couldn't explain that. How is there something rather than nothing? And all of the things I had said as an atheist were just pushing that question under the rug. Where did morality come from? Because as an atheist, I felt that I needed to be a good moral person. I tried to be a good moral person. I failed, badly a lot of the time. But I genuinely believed that it was important to be a good person. But why? And I swept that question under the rug. And it wasn't until I started asking these questions about the existence of God and realizing that God that Christians were talking about is not a, grandfather figure in the sky, but the ground of all being. Whoa. Now I had an explanation for the creation of the universe. I had an explanation for why I had a moral sense that inconveniently wouldn't go away. So with that, I started to realize, okay, there really is a first cause. And then it was the evidence primarily for the resurrection that convinced me that Christianity is true. Because the resurrection is a historical event. It either happened or it didn't. Now, it's possible that it happened and we don't have enough evidence to know one way or the other. And actually, that was my position, that, I'm sure I won't be able to find out. But I did my homework. I mean, I have a PhD. I know how to do research. So I really researched this question. And much to my dismay, I found out that as a skeptic, I was convinced this man called Jesus of Nazareth died by crucifixion, and he rose again in the flesh. Not a metaphor, in the flesh. And that convinced me that this really happened. But I want to add, though, that it didn't make me a Christian, because I was still wrestling with, what does this mean to me? And it was it was C.S. Lewis's character of Aslan, the great lion, in the Chronicles of Narnia, who helped me put it together. Because I went back and I reread Narnia, and I found in the character of Aslan the answer to my question of how can it be that God could become incarnate. And that character of Aslan showed me what it might be like and allowed me to connect that with the evidence that had convinced me rationally. And I said, all right, Lord, I don't know really anything about you. It's terrifying, but you're Lord of the universe. I'm signing on.
I have to tell you, I love that line, by the way. Love that line. You know, you had a dream job that you could have had, and it's in the book, and all you had to do was not hit a send button to answer a question. And it took a lot of courage on your part, and I'm sure a lot of fear in a sense, to hit that send button. Why'd you hit the send button?
Well, I had the opportunity to get a job at a Christian university that would have been just a great opportunity for me, but it was a Protestant university, and I was at that point still an Episcopalian. And in fact, I hadn't even been thinking consciously about becoming Catholic. If you'd asked me, I would have said, "Oh, no, oh, that Catholic stuff, not necessary. I'm so high church I can get a nosebleed, but I'm not Catholic." But when they started asking questions to me in the application process, all the way down to the final stages, finally they asked me, "Do you consider yourself a member of the Protestant church?" And at that point, I realized that I could not say that I was a Protestant, even though I couldn't say I was a Catholic either. Yeah. And it really, in some ways, it wasn't courageous at all. It was just telling the truth. I thought, I can't do this. I cannot lie.
Ignatius Press is your publisher, Holly, and where's the site that you can go to maybe pick up a copy of your book? Because I know that people want to know more.
Actually, you can go right to Ignatius Press at ignatius.com.
Okay.
You can get it directly from them.
Well, Holly, thank you so much. I wish we had more time. It's a great story, but we'll get you on again, okay?
Excellent.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
And happy Easter, too.
Yes.
Thank
Same
you.
to you.